Implementation of strategic fiscal policies in 2024, enhancing economic resilience. Introduction. In 2024, a pivotal initiative aimed at bolstering economic resilience will unfold through the implementation of strategic fiscal policies. With a comprehensive budget allocation of $1.8 billion, this initiative is designed to address ongoing economic challenges and foster stability amidst uncertainties. The implementation will be structured into 4 key phases, each crucial for ensuring the efficacy and adaptability of fiscal measures in response to the dynamic economic landscape. Key phases of implementation. Phase 1: Assessment and Planning. The first phase is dedicated to a thorough assessment of the current economic environment. Policymakers will conduct an in-depth analysis to identify vulnerabilities, trends, and potential risks that could impact economic stability. This phase emphasizes the need for data-driven decision-making, utilizing economic indicators and forecasts to set clear objectives for fiscal policy. Key activities in this phase include data collection, gathering relevant economic data including unemployment rates, inflation trends, and sector performance. Stakeholder engagement, collaborating with various economic stakeholders such as businesses, local governments, and community organizations to gain insights and align objectives. Setting objectives, defining specific measurable goals for fiscal policy aimed at enhancing economic resilience. Phase 2: Resource allocation. Following the assessment, the second phase focuses on the strategic allocation of the $1.8 billion budget. This budget is earmarked for several key initiatives, including infrastructure development, investing in critical infrastructure projects to stimulate job creation and improve public services. Social programs, funding for social welfare initiatives aimed at supporting vulnerable populations and enhancing community well-being. Support for small businesses, providing financial assistance and resources to small businesses to encourage entrepreneurship and economic diversification. This phase involves a careful prioritization of initiatives based on the assessment outcomes and expected impact on economic resilience. Phase 3: Execution and monitoring. The third phase entails the execution of the planned initiatives. Policymakers will deploy resources efficiently while establishing metrics for monitoring progress and effectiveness. This involves resource deployment, mobilizing financial and human resources to implement initiatives according to the established timeline. Monitoring framework, developing a robust framework for tracking the progress of initiatives including performance indicators and reporting mechanisms. Regular evaluations, conducting periodic evaluations to assess the effectiveness of implemented policies and initiatives, ensuring they remain aligned with the overarching objectives. Phase 4: Review and adjustment. The final phase emphasizes flexibility and adaptability in fiscal policy. Continuous review processes will allow policymakers to adjust strategies based on real-time data and emerging economic trends. Key components of this phase include feedback mechanisms, establishing channels for stakeholders to provide feedback on the effectiveness of initiatives and areas for improvement. Data analysis, utilizing ongoing data analysis to identify shifts in economic conditions and respond proactively. Policy adjustments, making necessary adjustments to fiscal policies and initiatives to ensure they remain effective and relevant. Common points across sources. A consensus emerges among various sources regarding the structured approach to fiscal policy implementation. Key commonalities include data-driven decisions, the critical importance of relying on empirical data to guide policy formulation and adjustments. Flexibility in implementation, acknowledgement of the need for policies to be adaptable in response to changing economic circumstances. Focus on economic resilience, a shared recognition of the necessity to enhance economic resilience as a foundational goal of the initiative. Differences between sources. While there is agreement on the overall framework and budget allocation, Some sources present differing perspectives on specific use cases for the budget. For instance, prioritization of initiatives. Variability exists in the emphasis placed on certain initiatives, with some sources advocating for a stronger focus on infrastructure investment while others highlight the importance of social welfare programs. Implementation timeline. Discrepancies in the proposed timelines for the rollout of initiatives are noted, with some sources suggesting a more aggressive approach compared to others. Complete timeline of events. Early 2024, initial assessments commence focusing on identifying economic vulnerabilities and strategic planning. Mid-2024, formal approval of the $1.8 billion budget allocation detailing specific initiatives to be funded. Late 2024, execution of initiatives begins with established monitoring and evaluation processes to track progress. End of 2024, a comprehensive review of fiscal policies is conducted, allowing for adjustments based on performance metrics and evolving economic conditions. Conclusion. The implementation of strategic fiscal policies in 2024 is characterized by a phased approach. Significant budget allocation and a commitment to enhancing economic resilience. The collaboration among various stakeholders, along with the adaptability of policies, will be crucial for navigating the complexities of the economic landscape. By prioritizing data-driven decision-making and maintaining flexibility throughout the process, the initiative aims to foster a stable and resilient economy capable of withstanding future challenges. The content presents a detailed plan for the implementation of strategic fiscal policies in 2024, which focuses on enhancing economic resilience through a structured approach consisting of 4 key phases and a budget allocation of $1.8 billion. Here are some counterintuitive elements within the content. 1. Budget allocation versus immediate economic needs. It may seem logical to allocate funds primarily to urgent economic needs such as direct financial assistance for struggling individuals or businesses. However, the plan emphasizes a broader perspective, investing in infrastructure and long-term social programs instead. This could be counterintuitive, as immediate relief may appear more effective in the short term, but the strategy suggests that building a resilient economy will provide more sustainable benefits in the long run. 2. Flexibility in policy implementation. The emphasis on the review and adjustment phase may appear to undermine the initial planning and resource allocation. Typically, a rigid plan is expected to yield results, but this approach highlights the necessity of adaptability in response to real-time data. This reflects a counterintuitive understanding that static policies may not be effective in a dynamic economic environment, thus advocating for a responsive strategy that can pivot as conditions change. 3. Data-driven decisions over intuition. The reliance on data-driven analysis in the assessment and planning phase may be seen as counterintuitive in contexts where decision-making often leans towards instinct or political pressure. The outlined approach prioritizes empirical evidence over popular opinion or traditional methods, suggesting that informed decisions based on solid data are more likely to produce effective outcomes, which contrasts with typical political behaviors where short-term popularity can overshadow long-term economic strategies. 4. Investment in small businesses versus large corporations. The allocation of funds to support small businesses instead of focusing primarily on large corporations can be unexpected. Many may assume that larger entities drive economic recovery faster due to their size and resources. However, the strategy recognizes that small businesses are often the backbone of the economy and that their success is crucial for broad-based economic resilience, thus presenting a counterintuitive prioritization. 5. Long-term economic resilience over short-term gains. The focus on long-term economic resilience as the main objective may seem counterintuitive in a crisis situation where immediate economic relief is typically prioritized. This plan suggests that a more sustainable approach, which includes strategic investments and reforms, is necessary to build a robust economy that can withstand future shocks, challenging the common narrative that prioritizes quick fixes. These counterintuitive elements reflect a broader understanding of economic policy that prioritizes sustainability, flexibility, and evidence-based decision-making, which may not align with conventional expectations in fiscal policy management. In the report on the implementation of strategic fiscal policies for 2024, several important aspects are likely to be overlooked, which hold significant implications for the effectiveness and adaptability of the proposed measures. Below are those critical points along with explanations of their significance. 1. Data-driven decision-making. The emphasis on data-driven analysis during the assessment and planning phase is crucial. While many may recognize the importance of this phase, they might underestimate how essential accurate data is for informed policymaking. The absence of comprehensive and reliable data can lead to misguided policies that do not address the actual economic vulnerabilities or the needs of the population. As economic conditions fluctuate rapidly, timely and relevant data will ensure that fiscal strategies remain responsive and effective. This point underscores the necessity for investment in data collection and analytics capabilities, which is often sidelined in discussions about budget allocation. 2. Flexibility in policy adjustment. The review and adjustment phase highlights a critical aspect of fiscal policy that is frequently overlooked: the need for flexibility. Many policymakers and stakeholders may focus primarily on the initial budget allocation and planned initiatives, neglecting the importance of being able to pivot and adapt strategies as circumstances change. Economic resilience is not just about implementing a set plan but also about being responsive to real-time data and feedback from the ground. This adaptability is vital, especially in unpredictable economic climates, where initial assumptions may quickly become outdated. The ability to modify policies based on ongoing evaluations can lead to more effective outcomes and better resource utilization. 3. Integration of stakeholder perspectives. The report mentions collaboration among various stakeholders but does not delve deeply into the mechanisms of this collaboration. The importance of engaging diverse perspectives, including local governments, businesses, community organizations, and citizens, cannot be overstated. Each of these groups can provide unique insights into the challenges faced at the grassroots level, which can inform more effective policy design and implementation. Many reports may gloss over this aspect, assuming that top-down approaches are sufficient. However, genuine stakeholder engagement can lead to greater buy-in, improved policy outcomes, and enhanced economic resilience. 4. Specific use cases for budget allocation. While the report outlines the budget allocation of $1.8 billion, the variations in perspectives on specific uses of this budget are significant. Some sources may prioritize infrastructure investment while others emphasize social welfare programs. This divergence highlights the need for a well-rounded approach that balances immediate economic stimulation with long-term investments in social infrastructure. Focusing solely on one area may lead to short-lived economic boosts without addressing underlying social issues that could undermine long-term stability. Therefore, prioritizing a diverse range of initiatives can create a more holistic economic strategy that supports resilience across multiple dimensions. 5. Long-term economic planning. The timeline presented in the report outlines immediate actions for 2024. But it is crucial to consider the long-term implications of these policies. Many stakeholders may overlook the fact that effective fiscal policies require not just short-term implementation but also a vision for sustainable growth beyond the immediate horizon. The decisions made in 2024 should be aligned with a broader strategy that looks at future economic challenges such as demographic shifts, climate change, and technological advancements. Planning for the long term will help ensure that the immediate measures taken today do not lead to future vulnerabilities. 6. Monitoring metrics and success indicators. The report mentions the establishment of metrics for monitoring progress but does not elaborate on what these metrics will be. It is significant to recognize that the effectiveness of any fiscal policy is contingent upon clearly defined and relevant success indicators. Stakeholders may overlook the complexity involved in creating appropriate metrics that genuinely reflect economic health and policy effectiveness. The absence of robust evaluation frameworks can result in a lack of accountability and transparency, making it difficult to assess whether the policies are achieving their intended outcomes. Establishing concrete, measurable goals is essential for fostering trust and ensuring that resources are being utilized effectively. 7. Impact on vulnerable populations. The report briefly touches on social programs but may not adequately address the specific impacts of fiscal policies on vulnerable populations. Policymakers often discuss economic resilience in broad terms, but it is crucial to consider how budget allocations and policy decisions will directly affect marginalized groups. Ignoring the nuances of how different demographics will experience economic changes can lead to policies that exacerbate inequalities rather than mitigate them. Therefore, integrating an equity lens into fiscal policy discussions and ensuring that vulnerable populations are prioritized can enhance the overall effectiveness and fairness of the initiatives. Conclusion. The proposed implementation of strategic fiscal policies in 2024 is a complex initiative that requires careful consideration of various overlooked aspects. By focusing on data-driven decision-making, flexibility and policy adjustment, stakeholder engagement, comprehensive budget allocation, long-term planning, effective monitoring, and the impact on vulnerable populations, policymakers can enhance the effectiveness of their strategies and build a more resilient economic framework. Recognizing and addressing these critical elements will be essential for navigating the challenges posed by an uncertain economic landscape and ensuring sustainable growth in the future. 1. Comprehensive assessment and planning phase. This initial phase is critical as it sets the foundation for the entire strategic fiscal policy implementation. The emphasis on a thorough evaluation of the current economic landscape enables policymakers to identify vulnerabilities and establish targeted objectives. A data-driven approach ensures that decisions are informed by accurate and relevant information, which is essential for effective fiscal policy. This phase highlights the importance of understanding the unique economic context, allowing for customized strategies that address specific challenges. 2. Strategic resource allocation of $1.8 billion. The allocation of a substantial budget of $1.8 billion represents a significant investment in economic resilience. This funding is earmarked for diverse initiatives such as infrastructure development, social programs, and support for small businesses. The strategic distribution of resources is crucial as it directly impacts the effectiveness of the fiscal policies. By prioritizing areas that stimulate growth and stability, the budget allocation aims to create a multiplier effect in the economy, fostering an environment conducive to recovery and long-term prosperity. 3. Execution and monitoring mechanisms. The execution phase underscores the importance of efficient resource deployment and the establishment of metrics for monitoring progress. Regular evaluations ensure that initiatives remain aligned with the evolving economic landscape, allowing for timely interventions if necessary. This phase highlights the dynamic nature of fiscal policy implementation, where adaptability and responsiveness are key to addressing unforeseen challenges and maximizing the impact of the allocated budget. 4. Review and adjustment for flexibility. The final phase emphasizes the necessity of continuous review processes to adapt fiscal strategies based on real-time data and emerging economic trends. This flexibility is crucial in a rapidly changing economic environment as it allows policymakers to pivot and make informed adjustments to optimize outcomes. The review and adjustment phase reinforces the concept that fiscal policy is not a static framework but rather a fluid process that requires ongoing evaluation and refinement to effectively enhance economic resilience. 1. The New Deal 1933 to 1939. The New Deal was a series of programs and reforms implemented by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in response to the Great Depression. It aimed to provide immediate economic relief, recovery, and reform through a series of strategic fiscal policies. The plan included significant budget allocations for public works projects, social security, and financial reforms which collectively sought to enhance economic resilience and stabilize the American economy. The implementation involved a structured approach including assessment of economic conditions, resource allocation for various initiatives, execution of programs, and regular reviews to adapt to changing circumstances. 2. The Marshall Plan 1948-1952. Officially known as the European Recovery Program, the Marshall Plan was an American initiative to aid Western Europe after the devastation of World War II. The U.S. allocated approximately $13 billion, equivalent to over $100 billion today, to help rebuild European economies. The plan was implemented in phases, starting with assessments of the needs of various countries, followed by strategic allocation of funds aimed at infrastructure, industry, and agricultural recovery. This initiative emphasized the importance of economic resilience and stability in Europe, fostering cooperation among nations and leading to long-term growth. 3. The Economic Stabilization Program 1970s. During the 1970s, the U.S. faced stagflation characterized by high inflation and unemployment. In response, the Economic Stabilization Program was implemented, which included wage and price controls alongside fiscal and monetary policies aimed at stabilizing the economy. The program involved a comprehensive assessment of inflationary pressures, strategic allocation of resources, and continuous monitoring of economic indicators to adapt policies accordingly. This initiative highlighted the need for a flexible approach in fiscal policies to respond to rapid economic changes and maintain stability. Future outlook: predictions for the implementation of strategic fiscal policies in 2024. As we look forward to the implementation of strategic fiscal policies in 2024, several predictions emerge based on the outlined phases and budget allocations. The $1.8 billion budget is poised to have significant implications for economic resilience and stability, particularly in a rapidly changing global economic landscape. 1. Enhanced economic resilience. Prediction: the strategic allocation of the $1.8 billion budget will lead to measurable improvements in economic resilience by the end of 2024. Rationale: by focusing on infrastructure, social programs, and support for small businesses, the government aims to create a more robust economic framework that can better withstand shocks. Investments in infrastructure are expected to stimulate job creation and enhance productivity, while social programs will aim to cushion vulnerable populations against economic downturns. 2. Increased employment opportunities. Prediction: job creation will be a primary outcome of the fiscal policy implementation, with unemployment rates potentially declining by 1 to 2% by late 2024. Rationale: the emphasis on infrastructure projects is likely to generate a significant number of jobs in construction and related fields. Additionally, support for small businesses will encourage entrepreneurial ventures, further contributing to employment gains. These initiatives will not only help reduce unemployment but also foster a more skilled workforce. 3. Improved public services and quality of life. Prediction: enhanced funding for social programs will lead to improved public services with positive effects on education, healthcare, and social welfare by the end of 2024. Rationale: as the budget allocation supports various social initiatives, we anticipate improvements in healthcare access and educational resources. This could translate into better health outcomes and educational attainment, fostering a more capable and healthy population. Over time, this investment in human capital is expected to yield long-term economic benefits. 4. Dynamic policy adjustments. Prediction: the review and adjustment phase of the fiscal policy will reveal a flexible and adaptive approach to governance, with policies evolving in response to real-time data and economic conditions. Rationale: policymakers are likely to embrace a more responsive governance model, using data analytics to evaluate the effectiveness of fiscal initiatives. This could lead to iterative changes in policy implementation, allowing for rapid responses to emerging economic challenges or opportunities. The capacity for adjustment will be crucial in navigating uncertainties, particularly in a global economy facing volatility. 5. Regional disparities addressed. Prediction: the implementation of fiscal policies will lead to a reduction in economic disparities between urban and rural areas by targeting investments based on regional needs. Rationale: by conducting thorough assessments during the planning phase, policymakers can identify specific regional vulnerabilities and allocate resources accordingly. Infrastructure projects in rural areas combined with targeted support for local businesses are expected to stimulate economic activity and development, contributing to a more balanced economic landscape. 6. Strengthen collaboration among stakeholders. Prediction: the phased approach to fiscal policy will foster greater collaboration among government agencies, private sector partners, and community organizations. Rationale: the structured implementation process necessitates an inclusive strategy that engages various stakeholders. As partnerships form around shared objectives, we anticipate enhanced coordination that could lead to innovative solutions addressing systemic economic challenges. This collaborative environment may also enhance trust in government initiatives and improve public buy-in. 7. Sustainable economic growth. Prediction: the strategic focus on resilience and adaptability will contribute to sustained economic growth beyond 2024. Rationale: by investing in infrastructure and human capital, the policies are likely to lay the groundwork for long-term economic stability. The emphasis on resilience will ensure that the economy is better prepared for future shocks, fostering an environment conducive to sustainable growth. Over time, this may translate into increased GDP growth rates and improved overall economic health. 8. Potential challenges and risks. Prediction: while the implementation of fiscal policies is expected to yield positive outcomes, several challenges may arise that could hinder progress. Rationale: these challenges may include political opposition, logistical delays in project execution, or unforeseen economic downturns that could strain budget allocations. Additionally, the success of the initiatives will hinge on effective communication and stakeholder engagement. Policymakers will need to proactively address these potential pitfalls to ensure the intended benefits are realized. Conclusion: the implementation of strategic fiscal policies in 2024, characterized by a structured approach and a significant budget allocation, is set to enhance economic resilience and stability. Predictions indicate positive outcomes in job creation, public service improvements, and regional equity, while highlighting the importance of adaptability and collaboration among stakeholders. However, potential challenges must be navigated carefully to ensure the success of these initiatives. As the year unfolds, the ongoing evaluation and adjustment of policies will be crucial in fostering a resilient and prosperous economic future.